So this week, with some projects I'm doing, I was using a few different brands of budget acrylic. So I thought I would take this opportunity to see how they stack up. So these are whips right now, and they will be shown at a later date, but I just kind of want to talk a little bit about these because they are pretty readily accessible. And since I'm using them all and just kind of going through it, it's fresh in my mind and I can kind of really tell you a little bit, even if you've used all these, kind of just how they compare. So let's get to it. I am filming in a different area of my house. This is my living room and it is mid-afternoon. We actually have a new member of the family. So here he is right here. If you don't know, I live out in the country and this little guy showed up on our property just like 2 weeks ago. So he has been to the vet, but he ended up moving inside with us. But he is a little maniac right now. So if you if you see me have to cut this video out in spots or anything, it's because this little guy woke up from a nap and is like crazy energetic right now. So hopefully this goes well. So the first one that I want to talk about is Red Heart Super Saver, which is always pretty infamous as far as what people's opinions are. I think I'm going to have to put these up higher. This guy is a maniac. Sorry about that. Cute, but a maniac. So the first one I want to talk about is Red Heart Super Saver. And I'm not going to get into the budget aspect of some of these or the price because we all live in different areas, so pricing does seem to be a little bit different where you live at. Also, one person's budget is different than another. So I'm not going to talk about what I see as value related, but just the qualities of the yarn. So this Red Heart Super Saver, these are all 4-weight 100% acrylic yarns. So in that aspect, they are very, very similar. This does say to use a 6mm hook, which I think I was using a 5.5 or maybe a 6. As far as durability, this one is great. What I am ranking this one highest on is definitely my stitch definition. So with this one, I mean, you can see the thickness of it right here. These are popcorn stitches that are on here. And I think it does a really good job of showing off that stitch. Maybe I can put it up here and you can see it a little bit better. So I think that is great. I have used Super Saver for a blanket project. I know a lot of people do use it for that, but it's not known for being the softest. So while I was working on all these projects in 1 week, I definitely noticed a difference. Like when I'm touching it right now, it doesn't feel overly harsh or scratchy or anything like that. But in comparison, there was, a noticeable difference. But like I said, this one I loved using on this pattern where I wanted these popcorns to pop. And I wanted it to really stick out and be noticeable. So I thought softness, this came in third. And as far as, there's so many colors, so you can't really necessarily go by this particular color of Super Saver. But, I have found they are a little bit like duller. There isn't much of a sheen to them. There is, minimal stretch to it. And I think it's definitely a 4-weight. I don't think that's questionable at all. So it's just your like most basic of the basic. It'll get the job done. And if you want to really see your stitches, I think this is a great one. So the next yarn I was using was also 100% acrylic, and it is by Red Heart. It was Baby Hugs, and you know, also a 4 weight. This does say to do a 5.5 hook on this. So I'll show you a little bit about the project I was doing here. And there are some similarities between this and then my other red heart one. This is a baby yarn, so, you know, it's been tested more for the different chemicals and stuff. And, you know, it's supposed to be washer dryer, you know, safe, like that type of stuff. And hopefully you would think with the baby yarn that it would also be a little bit softer. And I can say that this was definitely softer than the Super Saver. But you can kind of see, so what I did, this is an adapted larger version of this right here, of this granny square that I'm working on. So you can see, you know, the stitch definition is still pretty good on this. Um, let me try to get that from the side. You know, you can see those little popcorns, but it's definitely far more defined with the Super Saver. Yeah, the Super Saver than the Baby Steps. So that's what it's called, right? Baby Steps? Baby Hugs. Baby Hugs. So this one, again, I thought softness definitely rated better than the Super Saver. Stitch definition, not quite as great. But again, you might enjoy it just because of the ease of use, you know, and the different applications, and the fact that it is, what do they call that? Like eco-tested, ecotex, ecotech. I don't know how that's pronounced. That thing where that it puts on baby yarns, so that you know it's safe and it doesn't have harmful chemicals in it. So noticeably softer than the Super Saver. And you can see, I mean, it's got a little bit of, like a little bit of drape on it, not a lot. It's definitely, you know, thick. It's like a thicker 4, definitely not a 5, but a thicker 4. And I would say even less stretch than the Super Saver. And I I don't really think there's any type of sheen to this. This also does seem a little bit like of a duller color. Not dull in a bad way, but just, you know how like some yarns, like Karen's Simply Soft, ones like that, they have like a definite sheen to them. This does not. So there is that. But I think it's a little more, maybe the color is just a little more dynamic than the green. This is Thyme, by the way, if you're curious what Super Saver it is. And this Baby Hugs is Lilac. So again, I really liked it. I really liked both of these that I'm working with. So I do want to say that in no way is any of this like negative. I have to keep putting these up here because of that kitten, you guys. I'm sorry, a little distracted. So the last project that I was working on here, this is another budget acrylic. It is Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn. It's normally, I said I wasn't going to go over prices because it doesn't matter, right? We're not talking about value. We are talking about just how these compare to each other as far as the acrylic. So this is just like, there's nothing special about this I Love This Yarn. It's just I love this yarn. The color is soft pink, and it does say, you know, it's machine wash and dries fine, and it does say a 5.5 crochet hook. So again, these are all extremely similar. What I was trying to say is like, they're all constructed very, very similar, which is why I think they're good to compare. But I would say absolutely hands down, this I Love This Yarn, it was definitely my favorite, and it was literally like a joy to be working with. When I got into this, I have used I Love This Yarn before, but like I said, not in such close proximity to the other ones, where like you're working with one and then you're like, whoa. So again, it's a 4 weight right here. And while it looks about the same as the other two, it is squishier. And so like, I feel like my product is a little bit thicker and squishier. And I know these are like, this is a totally different, um, I mean, you know, this is a scallop and this is a granny square, but to squish them both, like in the flatter spots, this one just has much more squish factor to it than this one does. Um, so this really reminded me of when I was doing that scallop blanket, which is the same pattern, but this is a baby blanket. Um, with the Karen Jumbo Ombre. Like that one, when I compared it, I have a video and I can post that up here where I compare ombre yarns. And I did the Red Heart Ombre and the Karen Ombre. And the Karen Ombre just was like soft and squishy. And that is what this reminds me of. But this is like a little bit silkier to the touch than the Karen was, but it's that same like thick feeling from a yarn that isn't thick. Um, but I will say, as far as actually crocheting, like this one would just glide through my fingers as I was going. Where I was definitely a little more aware of the super saver, which again is fine. But yeah, I mean, it would just glide. It was super soft. Um, so this one I would say has the least stitch definition out of all of them. I mean, I think it works great for this pattern in this blanket. And like I said, it is a baby blanket, or will be shortly. I have a row to go, a border. But you know, there is the least amount of definition, and I think a lot of that comes with the squishiness. You know, you when it is put together, you don't see those scallops as much, and it all kind of um, you know, blends together a little bit more. So it really depends on your project and what you're looking for, and I think this is absolutely perfect for this project. I can say I will probably, now that I have worked with this a little bit more, probably when it is on sale again, you know, like when their annual sale or the die lot again next year, I will try to pick up a bunch more of this stuff, because I did enjoy working with it so much. So I said I was stacking them up, but I'm not really rating any as like one is better than the other. It just depends on what you're looking for and what the project is that you want to do. So baby blanket wise, I absolutely loved I love this yarn, and the baby hugs was definitely second to that. If I was doing a baby blanket out of Super Saver, for me, I would probably be using one where I felt like it was more about the color of it. You know, because Super Saver does have some like amazing prints and amazing ombres. So I probably wouldn't just pick it just for the feel and the texture of it as far as that goes, but it would be more about, you know, the print. Um, but yeah, I hope this helps you guys out. Let me know what you guys think. Do you have a different opinion than I do? I know I didn't really rate them, even though I said I was rating them, but I'm not really rating them because they're all great yarns. I would just use them for different projects, and you will see these projects in the future shortly. So I appreciate you guys talking yarn with me, and if this is something you like, we can always like rate some other yarns too. Um, you know, and kind of see how that goes from here, because it was kind of fun. And I figure if we're working on them, why wouldn't we talk about them? So if you're working on a great yarn, I would love to hear about it.